And breaking news coming in after former Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey claimed that Twitter was under pressure from India to block accounts covering farmers' protests and those critical of the government of India. The Indian government has now hit out, fact-checking Dorsey's claims. The government has said that Twitter continuously violated Indian law under Dorsey and that Twitter did not respect India's sovereignty. Jack Dorsey is the former CEO of Twitter. Now, the Indian government has responded, fact-checking former CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey's claims. The government of India has said that Dorsey is lying, and the government now fact-checks the former Twitter head. Over to my senior executive editor, Abhishek Kapoor, to take us through this breaking news. Abhishek, the government has called out Jack Dorsey on his allegations against the Indian government.
Well, yes. So we have to understand why this is happening, Rukma, and the viewers need to know. Jack Dorsey, in an interview, has made a claim on Monday that he got pressure from many governments, and he has made a specific mention of India, and has actually gone on to say, oh, India is a democracy, but I got so much pressure from Indian government that there would be raids, people would be jailed if you don't remove information from Twitter, if you don't share information with them, if you don't act against some Twitter handles, including some journalists. Now, here is a fact check coming in from none other than the Information and Technology Minister, Rajiv Chandrasekhar. He's Union Minister of State for, among other things, technology, electronics, information technology. And he has said that Twitter under Jack Dorsey was an organization which was in violation of Indian law, which refused to repeatedly comply with Indian law, which in fact weaponized misinformation, which inflamed passions, which used the farmers' protests to inflame and amplify misinformation, and sought to create, with that misinformation, law and order situation. And when they were asked not to do this, they fudged information, they misled, they behaved arrogantly, they did not cooperate with the investigators, and for Jack Dorsey to be acting holier than thou now is not right. So essentially, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, point by point, rebutting the manner in which Twitter under Jack Dorsey continued to violate Indian law and refused to respect sovereignty of Indian law, despite the fact that there were no raids carried out on Twitter. There was an investigation which was started by Delhi police. That also was based on a complaint by the Congress party, and during that investigation, because an individual by the name of Manish Maheshwari was identified as the managing director, communication was sent to him, asking him or seeking his cooperation. And then we have it from sources, the manner in which Manish Maheshwari conducted and obfuscated, even on his own designation, saying that I am not the managing director of Twitter. India even has a lot of documentation and his social media presence and his other regulatory filings with the US, for example, continued to show him as a managing director. He continued to evade investigators. Subsequently, after a lot of to and fro with the Delhi police team going to the Gurgaon office of Twitter and then writing to him more than a couple of times, he agreed to finally submit himself to questioning, that too at his own residence in Bengaluru, and still nobody was arrested. And there is a complete detail of the manner in which Manish Maheshwari, during questioning also, sort of tried to stonewall the questions and refused to cooperate with the investigators. And in this backdrop, for Jack Dorsey to be saying that there was pressure from India or the Indian government really is a travesty of the truth. And I believe that's something which the government wants to be known, and that's why Minister of IT, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, really coming out and going public with a response to the claims that have been made by Jack Dorsey in this interview. Rukma.
Right, Abhishek. So how do we understand these allegations in view of the fact that we know and what the government has reiterated now, there were no raids. There were no raids as such, the kind of that Jack Dorsey was claiming, were threatened against employees of Twitter when he was the CEO. So how should we understand these allegations? Why make them in the first place?
Well, so obviously Jack Dorsey has some axe to grind with India. And remember, as also comes out from the statement released by Minister of Information Technology, that Twitter under Jack Dorsey was biased, arbitrary, had a clear ideological position, and which was against the government, against the conservative movement in the country. And to that extent, they were open to the idea of manipulating and misleading and weaponizing misinformation, as Chandrasekhar says in his statement that has been released, to the extent that they were shadow banning certain Twitter handles because they thought that they are against their ideological position, and most of those Twitter handles were from the conservative right in the Indian political space. So obviously, Twitter was under Jack Dorsey a left liberal platform, and they were absolutely open to the idea of manipulating any other views, shadow banning any other views. It was not a democratic public square